Hi, this is Mark with your weekly update. Very tricky week last week. Lots of big pullbacks, possibly reversals on the pound, the yen, etc. Very difficult when you are just working from charts to know what to do next. So this week I'm going to be looking a bit more on a fundamental level as for possible areas for trades. For example, the CAD. Anything CAD related, which is oil, and Aussie dollar, which is gold, and New Zealand dollar, which is minerals as well. What I'm looking at here at the moment, this is the CAD USD on the monthly chart, and as you can see, going back from December last year, price has simply moved down in a fairly straightforward line, almost 3,000 pips. Now, here on the monthly chart, we are riding the 5 EMA. All the EMAs are pointing down. Lots of reasons to suspect that price could continue to do so, and price potentially could come back down to this recent low of 1,300 pips. Certainly in the short term, maybe 500 or 600 pips. So what I will be looking for this week is potential reasons for entry. Now, as I say, this is more of a fundamental thing than just pure technical. However, you can see this is the weekly CAD. The bottom Bollinger Band has opened. We are below all the EMAs. 34 and 55 has crossed across the 200. Stochastics pointing down. Again, on the daily, slightly different. We have stochastics pointing up, but we are behind the EMAs. What I am looking for is price to pull back to an area to hopefully give me a better entry to go short. So, for example, here on the 4-hour CAD, price recently rejected at the 55. So, when the market opens, I will be looking in this area. What I would really like is price to come back up to here, which would be the 1.066 area, which is the 200 EMA. And coincidentally, I suspect that will probably be a fib area as well. Let's change the colour. Well, we got 61.8, major area for possible reversals on a fib on a pair. So that's the area that I will be particularly looking at. This area could be of interest, but as I say, my reasoning is there is a potential on the longer charts for much further drop here, and some of the experts are anticipating that price will break parity, i.e. one for one again, and in October 2007 price did actually get down as low as 90.41. So, because of the fundamentals of oil broke $75 a barrel last week for the first time for a while. Canada is oil rich, and the US is a big customer, and their figures were said that they were short. So there are lots of fundamentals to suggest the CAD could be a good move next week. Equally, the Euro CAD. Now, the Euro CAD is a little more difficult to try to assess at the moment because price appears to be rolling up on both the 4-hour and the daily. So again, this could be a case of pulling back up to this kind of area, which was a recent trend line. Again, for me, for now, I would be more interested in the CAD. The Aussie dollar, gold prices at the moment are high, broke recent highs last week again, well over the $1,000 an ounce price. Now, here, what I would be looking for, on the daily, I have avoided this pair for a while, because price has simply just kept going and it's been virtually impossible to get an entry. However, if you notice here on the daily chart, we have what is known as an inside bar, and this candle here is a reversal bar at the top of a major move. So what I am hoping for is on the 4-hour chart perhaps the price will come back down to this area, 0.9080. This was a strong area of resistance initially and then support. So if we move to the 4-hour chart here and we look and say, well, if price could come back to here, the LMT gives us a signal to go long, then we have a potential gain back up to the recent high of 170 pips. So that's the kind of way to play the market when price is at an extreme. You look for a pullback, reasons for an area to be a good area for a pullback, and then look to go with the trend. This is the Aussie dollar, Japanese yen. Now this has been, here you see we have a doji candle on the daily chart, which is major indecision. Again, we are up at an extreme. What I am looking for on the 4-hour is price to come back down to this area, which is 50% fib, 82, possibly as far as 83, no more. But here we're looking for price to hit the trend line, recent fib, but again, we want to go with the trend, so we would be looking for here a possible 150 pip move up. New Zealand dollar, 80% of the time plus, goes the same way as the Aussie dollar. The New Zealand dollar may give a better potential pullback here this week. Again, if we're in this area here, we have a 120 pip possible move up. And again, if you look on the daily, the candle formation is almost, if not quite, an engulfing candle, and again this could well be the sign of a reversal. So I'm not going to bother with the pound at the moment. I have no idea where the pound is going next. This is the monthly pound. It's sat in the middle of 160-100. The 200 EMA is very flat. These other EMAs pointing down do suggest that the pound is still going to go down. However, I have my doubts. And here on the LMT you can see, for me technically this is still a downtrend because price has not broken through the 78.6 on the daily. So I would still be interested in possible shorts, but lots of these EMAs now are starting to roll over. So as I say, for me, I'm going to leave this alone this week. Euro, USD, again, I want to pull back. This is too far at an extreme for me. Swissy could be a good potential trade. The Swissy broke out last week on the daily chart, broke through, and with my standard theory, price then pulled back to the previous area of support. So this previous area of support becomes resistance. It did it again Friday. And if you look on the longer term charts, here on the weekly chart, let's make this a little bit bigger, there was a recent low down here, January 2008, of 96. So there is a good potential move if we can get an entry. And again, I will be looking for pullbacks. As I say, final part of the equation this week, there is a lot of major news due out. Bernanke speaks twice on Monday, including one of his speeches is specifically about the global economic crisis, so all the analysts will be watching that one. There's some major pound news out on Wednesday. Check your calendars because there is a lot of news this week and a lot of news that could make this a very highly volatile fundamental week rather than a chartist week. Good luck with it. I'll catch you later.